Heads up, the Culling is in early access, so nothing I'm showing off today is final. We may visit this game later on, and everything you see is subject to change. By now, I think we're all pretty familiar with the concept of Battle Royale, and if that doesn't ring a bell, then think about the Hunger Games series instead. Basically, you put a bunch of people in a large, closed-off area, and they have to fight to the death, with the last person or team standing being declared victorious. It's a concept that's been presented as a gruesome and vicious event, as horrifying to the viewers as it is to the unwilling participants. Something nobody wants to be involved in, but they're either forced into it or they reluctantly volunteer to be involved in it to earn food for their people or something like that. Xaviant, the team that previously created Lichdom Battle Mage, has decided to take that concept and go in a completely different direction with its tone. They made the Culling, an amusing and almost sarcastic take on the Battle Royale genre. Set on some unnamed body of land, the Culling pits 16 players against each other in either free-for-all combat or in teams of 2. As you hunt, sneak, and craft around the decently sized map, you'll hear the cartoonishly zany announcer blaring from all across the arena. Each time a player dies, he's aware and ready with some kind of relevant quip to inform you of their removal from the competition. While it sounds very obviously programmatically pieced together, I didn't find it too tiring, and it's actually useful for getting some loose idea of what you can expect towards the end of a round. Each new round of the Culling starts with you dropped to a random spot on the map, locked inside of a box with no view of your location, and then you're set loose after a few seconds. With 20 minutes until the end of the match, it's up to you and your teammate, if you have one, to scavenge or craft anything you think you'll need to survive as you either actively hunt down other players or hide and wait until the last moments to take someone out. In order to craft items in the Culling, you literally rub them together as Funk, some kind of nanobot thing, manipulates the materials to turn them into something that could, in some soft science world, totally be made from the things you rub together. I.e., 2 rocks make a knife and a stick makes a spear and a stick makes a bow, and rubbing that bow on more sticks makes arrows. It totally makes sense. And that absurdity and soft science attitude runs through the entire game. Now, Funk, the nanobot type MacGuffin that lets you do all of this crazy crafting, is an expendable resource. Each recipe costs some amount of it, so you need to be constantly on the lookout for more. You can find containers of it scattered around the map that grant you a decent amount, but you can also get Funk off of the long dead remains of other contestants in smaller amounts. The recipes are all pretty affordable, and you can only carry 5 things on you at once, so it's not too hard to get a good loadout, but if you want the really good stuff, then you'll be spending a lot of time scrounging and saving up Funk and opening up boxes. There's a sufficient amount of recipes, and once you understand the game's loose logic and have referenced the recipe screen a couple of times, you've already got most of them memorized. Combat itself is surprisingly deep as well. Instead of just being a simple weightless hack and slash fest, you actually have a few options in melee, and there are a few ranged weapons. In melee, you can, of course, just swing around wildly. You can also hold down your attack button to charge up a swing and make it stronger. You can block to avoid damage and get a brief opening on your opponent, or shove your opponent to break them out of a block or to just get some space. Add in ranged weapons like bows, poison darts, or the very occasional gun, and utility items like flash grenades or traps, and I think you'll start to see just how varied each encounter or round can really be. Because of the options available, you can and likely will go about things differently each time you play. I will say that things can be pretty dependent on RNG at times. There are crates scattered around, some are free to open, but others cost about 50 Funk, and you can get either very lucky or very unlucky with what you get from these. If you're looking for something super competitive, then this may not be the game just yet. Outside of a round, you can actually customize your character with cosmetic items you unlock by playing, and you get 1 each round. You can also choose what airdrop you get in-game, and you can choose to equip any 3 of the bajillion perks available. The perk system is interesting, but a lot of the perks that exist feel very niche and almost useless. Some of them are great, like always starting with a backpack that improves your carry capacity by 2. The vast majority of them are just marginal number increases though. Things like plus 15% axe damage, or plus 50% movement speed with the spear equipped. I'm sure there are some great combinations hidden somewhere in there, but I'd much rather the perks be more creative than just arbitrary stat boosts. When it comes to multiplayer options, I do feel that the game's a bit lacking right now. While it's definitely in early stages of development, it still feels very limited. To reiterate, you can play in free-for-all, or you can team up with a single invited friend, or a random player also without a partner, in 16-player matches that are 20 minutes long. Right now, there's no voice chat, so playing with random partners puts you at a sizable disadvantage. You and your partner both spawn in random spots, so sometimes you'll get lucky and be close to each other, but most of the time you're on different ends of the map, and one of you will die before you get a chance to meet up. I understand that the random location is important, but I invited a friend so I could actually play the game with them. I think in partner mode, it should be fine to at least spawn within a few feet of your partner each time. It'd also allow for more actual teamwork, and I'd be slightly more guaranteed to be able to actually play the round with them. I think that in order for the Culling to be really widely successful, it needs more multiplayer options. It could be something as simple as just adding more game modes, but I think the most important things would be to add dedicated servers, or at the very least, a server browser and some options for custom games. Letting players adjust spawn rates, items being spawned, and funk given or found would add a lot to the variability and longevity of the game. You could come up with insane ways to play the normal 20-minute free-for-all by making people only able to play with rocks, or there's one gun that spawns in the middle of the map. I'm sure there are plenty of other options you could have as well, maybe even the player count, or the amount of players on any given team, or even the length of a match. Lastly, something fun that exists within each round is the possibility for random events to happen. Things ranging from surprise airdrops to a button that activates every poison gas dispenser all around the map can happen in any match. Typically, these events occur at the center of the map and they draw a lot of attention for players. It's a great way to add variety to the individual match, and it creates a cool method of play decision for each player. I'm admittedly worried about the announcer's voice and lines getting stale, so I hope they record plenty, or maybe even consider the possibility of voice packs or even randomized voices between matches. The game could also stand to be optimized a bit better. Even on just high settings, I have problems running it at a constant 60 frames per second. There are definitely some missing or incomplete animations, and setting your field of view to max shows the edges of some weapons. The animations in general could use a bit of work as well. They're very rigid and fake right now, so I hope they get improved. Despite all of that, the Culling is already proving itself to be an interesting take on the battle royale game type with plenty of potential. I only hope they manage to live up to that potential and avoid becoming yet another game that was huge at the start of its early access run and then was dead by release or left incomplete. You can pick it up on Steam for 15 bucks. If you're looking for a survival crafting deathmatch game, then this is one for you. If you're unsure given the early development stage of the game, then definitely keep an eye on it. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Indie Bytes. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please remember to leave a like and subscribe for more. If you have any indie games that I should check out, then please shoot them my way. You can leave a comment down below, or you can drop me a line on Twitter. My handle's @forkh, or you can shoot me an email at fork4h@gmail.com. I'll see you next time. Bye!